Hi again. I'd like to continue the discussion here of, jQuery and creating dynamic content, right? So, in the last example, I created this little web page here, and it's kind of not too complicated, right? But it looks like this, and when you click on the link, it displays a div, right? So that's good, and that works for a lot of situations. But imagine this. What if, these colored boxes, what if they were content that came from somewhere else? And we don't know what it is. Like it's coming from a server or some situation that's, outside of our, our page as it exists when we write it. So we know that some boxes are going to come in, and we know they're going to have a name or some content, and then we know we'll have to have a link, a list item for each one, but we don't know where they're coming from, or we haven't created them yet at the time that we write the page, right? So how do we deal with that? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back to this JavaScript stuff later, so I'm going to leave that from the last example there. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a variable called array, and I'm going to make an array, right? So here's an array. So an array can hold a list of items. And so I'm going to put, I'm going to put my list of, ID names here. Okay. So I've got, A, B, C, and those are the ID names that we had, and the link names here, right? And what I want to do is I want to use this array to generate these list items and the divs. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all these. Okay? And then I'm going to delete these guys too. But before I do, I'll need a way to identify this area of the page where I want these divs to show up. Okay? So the easiest way to do that is probably to, create a container div to represent that, right? So, imagine like these divs should be inside this other div. Let's give this div an ID name so we can identify it easy. Why don't we call this guy content, okay? And then I'm going to delete these guys. Gone, okay? So, so now we got our array, and when our page loads, the script down here is going to do its business, right? So I want to add stuff to the page here. So what I'll do is I'll say, for, and what we'll do is we'll loop through all the items in array. So I'm going to say for var I in array, and then what we'll do is we'll build a list item and a div, and then insert each of those into this spot, these spots here, right? So why don't we do this? Let's make a variable to hold the list item and the content for the nav. So maybe I'll do var, nav, right? And I'll say you're going to be a string, and then I'll say var content, and you're going to be a string, right? So I got two variables, they're strings. And I name them the same as these IDs because that's, I'm going to put the string value into those elements, right? So now let's make the content, okay? So let's say, nav plus equals, and what I want to have here is I want to have an li tag with an anchor tag inside. Now remember, I have the double quote on the outside. I need to use the single quote on the inside in order for it to be valid, right? Because if I put the double quote here, it'll close this string, and then we'll have another partial string on the other side, or two complete strings right next to each other, right? So now what I want to do is I want to take the value here and put it inside the href. Maybe I'll also put it here as the text for the anchor. So right here we're going to close our string. So this from double quote to double quote is a complete string. from this double quote to the other one, complete string. I'll use the plus sign to get the value from my array, right? So array bracket I, so I is going to be the index of each of the elements in the array. And to get at one of those elements, I'll say bracket I, and then it'll insert that item here. And remember, this is going to be the ID, so let's put the hash mark here right in front of it, okay? And then maybe I'll do the same thing right here, and this is the anchor tag, right? So why don't we say, you know, double quotes there, 2 plus signs, and then I'll put the A right there, or the array with the index, right? So next, for content, let's do plus equals. Now what's key here is this plus equals means append, right? So like when we add a string here, the next time through the loop we'll be adding another string on top of what's already in the variable, right? If we just said equal, we would be overwriting what's in there. So it's got to be plus equal. And this is going to be a div. Wait, that doesn't say div. There we go, div, right? And there's div. And then inside this div here, we want to have an ID and a class name. And for us, the class name was just box for everybody, right? But the ID name is going to look like this one. So we can just do the same thing we did up here. Hash mark, double quotes, couple plus signs, array, bracket I. Okay? And then when we're done looping through all these things, then what we'll do is we'll add the variable to these elements here. Okay? So to do that, we'll use jQuery, and we'll say $. And first of all, let's do the nav. So we'll use a selector here to select the nav. And when we use jQuery's HTML method, it adds the string here in the parentheses as the content, or the HTML inner content. So it's going to go in here to this element, and it'll replace everything that's there. Okay? So if you want to add to what's there and keep what's there, you'll have to use a different method. This will replace everything. And we can repeat the process for content. So let's say content.html equals content. Okay, let's give that a try. So we'll save it. Go back here. This is example 2. Hey, where's my UL there? It says ID nav. Oh, I got an error here, right? Let's take a look at our error, right? Invalid left-hand expression in something or other. Looks like it says example 2 HTML line 51. Let's see, what did I miss here? Line 51. Oh, you know what? I got 2 plus signs here and a plus sign on the end. That's a mistake. Let's take one of those out. So it should just be plus and plus on the other side. Okay, let's give it a second try. Oh, there we go. So now there's my links, A, B, C. When I click on B, oh, so that's kind of working, but I'm missing the divs. Let's check my work again. Did I make another mistake here? Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake. I put the hash mark in there. I forgot. We don't want the hash mark there. Right, I want it on the link. I said to put it there, but that was a total error. So yeah, we don't want the hash mark there. Up here we want it though. Let's fix that again. So I'll click on C. Oh, there's the blue one. B, there's the yellow one. A, there's the red one. Okay? Let's imagine that we wanted to add another box, right? So maybe on this one, I'll put a color up here just so we can see it. Background, oops, that's back face. Wait, I want background. Let's call it purple. for some reason I like to use the color name colors, even though they're not the best colors. But anyway, so we'll use that. And then, if I add another item here, then, we're good, because it's going to create a new element in the array, a new list, and a new div. Okay? Let's refresh it. Oh, look, A, B, C, D. Click on D. There's the purple box, the blue, the yellow, and the red.